Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the new Neca Toys Alien Covenant Neomorph. Getting some dimensions going. Now he does come not with a stand. I just want to stress this. I did use a stand just because of the way the nature of the figure is. It doesn't really stand all that well. A stand would have certainly come in handy. You can get a couple of those clear Neca stands, and I think this might have been a stand from Gizmo perhaps, but I've got it. It doesn't come with the stand though, so I just want to stress that. But we're going to go ahead and take the dimensions from obviously the top of the stand to the top of the head of the figure. It stands 7 inches tall. It does come with a couple of accessories, one of which being the smaller version of itself. A nice cute little representation. If I could say cute, it's far really from being cute, but it's covered in blood. An awesome reveal in the Alien Covenant movie, which I quite liked, and it's a shame that that movie just didn't do so well. They're planning, I think, to basically just wipe the slate clean and start a brand new rebooted series, which is really, again, disappointing. I liked Alien Covenant. Anyways, though, the smaller representation of the little Neomorph there. Very small little details. Hopefully the camera can actually pick them up. There we go. Some really small details there. Minimal amounts of paint. You've got the main primary color of the white. And again, the very stark coloring of the red, which really looks great on it. It's got almost like a slimy red look to it, like it's just mucusy. Looks awesome though. It doesn't have any poseability in the tail, but it does have a head swivel. The arms do hinge. You gotta be very careful with these. And of course the legs hinge as well. Not the most easiest of things to stand. You want to talk difficulty for the Neomorph. The little baby version, there's really no accommodating ways to have it properly stand. So I guess you could kind of just prop it against the. Again, it just doesn't really stand, unfortunately. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Haha. Yes. Let's go ahead and take the Neomorph off the stand. We'll put the stand to the side. It does come also with an interchangeable head. I'm really impressed that that stands. Comes with an interchangeable head, 2 different ways to display the figure. I like this one because it's got the mouth going there. Kind of looks like a maggot. It's got such a neat looking design to it. And there's also this one here too, which has an equally creepy look to it as well. Not quite the defined notion of eyes, but it's got some nice little pink hues there on the under area of its head, the areas around the eyes, and the areas around the ears. The mouth kind of has a very small sculpt to it, but again really defines a really creepy looking design of a character. Now, the way that it looks, there's like an outline right underneath the chin, right up here, and right across the top of the dome. It actually looks like this could have easily unpegged itself, and they could have replaced the head in that same way. Instead, it favors itself being a ball joint, which I think is perfectly fine. But if you look at the necks look almost identical to one another, and you can almost, again, see right where that outlining is here, right here, up and across. Could have easily just had that unpeg, and you could have replaced the dome head that way, or the top of the head. But in this case, we'll have to go ahead and pull the head off the ball joint, which is very, very stiff, I might add. And we'll just replace it. One of the things I'm not super crazy about, and it's not necessarily due to Neca's construction of it, because they had to work with the initial designs, is these little tendril kind of pieces that stick out from the back spine of the Neomorph. Just by nature of the way that the head moves, you're always clipping these little back areas here, and you're deforming and just kind of warping them in a weird, awkward state. Like this one area here is curled, which I suppose is passable, But again, like rotating the head any which way, you're always clipping these. There's not really much you could do about it. It's just something that I noticed that it's a bit of a peeve, a bit of a small peeve. So here we have the figure now replaced out from the very gruesome looking head sculpt. Oh, I love that head sculpt. It's just so cool. Primarily, you can see that the coloring on the Neomorph is, well, basically all white. A very pastel, chalky white. But mixed amongst that chalk white is some nice lighter grays, like medium tone grays, and almost something like closer to a beige in the torso section here. I quite like the very thin, lanky nature of the Neomorph. It's got some really cool design elements to it. Kind of looks somewhat, of course, the building block for the Xenomorph, but it's got some really good elements to it. Like, it looks somewhat like a Xenomorph, and of course, it has its own, very much its own characteristics as well. Things such as the thigh plates, the little areas that raise themselves up, the rib cage, really like the hands, everything about it reads very much a Xenomorph, except for the fact that it's a much thinner build figure, and it's a much more simplified design, especially when you get, again, to the head portion here. You could probably guess very easily the figure is not the greatest to stand. For one thing, the legs are always in a permanent bend. You bring the legs forward. I mean, of course, you can hinge the forward leg, which is probably what I may end up doing as well. But the knee end of it doesn't actually, the leg doesn't come any further forward than what you see right here. It does have a double hinge knee, which is a nice touch. But again, like, you can't bring the leg any further forward than what you've got right here. It does have the wireframe tail, as something to be expected with the Alien style of figures. All around, it's a great looking figure. Like, I really like the design of it. Very short-lived, unfortunately. Well, don't want to spoil too much about the movie, but let's just say it doesn't have a lot of screen time in Alien Covenant. For what it is, for what time it does spend in the movie, it's a really neat looking design, taking cues from the original Xenomorph and branching on it to kind of see its old ancestry timeline. Let's go through its posability now. Its head is on a ball joint, though unfortunately a little on the limited side. You can hinge the head back and forward, but not really by a whole heck of a lot. You can rotate the head back and forth, but again, you're clipping these little rubbery tendons here, tendrils that are sticking out from the back of the figure's torso. It does have a very nice ball joint in the upper torso as well. Universal joints, what appears to be in the arms, so the arms do rotate back and forth as well as out. It does have what looks to be a double hinge elbow, or perhaps just a swivel here, and a hinge, actually where it attaches to the forearm. Universal joints also, or hinge joints in the hands, as well as when you get to the legs, you get a good range of motion. Nothing seems restricted by the way that the legs can rotate back and forth. They can also hinge outward. That's a little bit where more of the restriction comes. And as we already looked at, he's got the double hinge on the knee, a hinge on the foot, and hinges in not quite all 5 toes, but of the 4 toes that are one sculpted piece. And those hinge back and forth as well. Great looking figure. Not really sure which way I would display it, to be honest. I really like the look of this one because it's got just this maggot kind of creature. Well, obviously it's a creature, but it's got this really neat looking design here. Obviously, I think many people probably will gravitate a little bit more towards this one because of its more fiercer nature. It looks really cool, especially like the little tongue thing inside there as well. Either way, a great looking figure, currently now available in comic book stores and other stores. Today we were checking out, spending a lot of time just looking at this head here. Today we were looking at, though, the Alien Covenant. This was the Neomorph. If you guys like this video, certainly hit it with a like down below. And if you also haven't had a chance, hit that little subscribe button where you'll also be able to subscribe to this channel and never miss future videos coming online. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.